Well, Albers famously said to us, "To follow me, be yourself." I was born in Satu Mare, Romania, and the date of my birth, September 16th, 1935, on the face of the New York Times were announced the Nuremberg laws, which indicated quite clearly that Jews had better get the hell out of here. And so in 1938, we did. And we came to Canada first, to Banesville, Ontario. And then very, very quickly, we moved to Montreal. I started drawing at a very early age. I was drawing hockey players. We lived 2 doors away from the Montreal Forum. I didn't really begin to paint until I was in high school, and I was taking, we were living in Cleveland at that point, and I was taking Saturday classes at the Cleveland Institute of Art. And in Cleveland, we had a great museum too. The Cleveland Museum of Art is one of the I think the best, one of the best in the world. And I spent a lot of time in the galleries and looking at art, looking at paintings. And I would go home and I was very inspired by them, and I would make paintings based on what I had seen at the museum. I was trained as a violinist, actually, quite seriously. My teacher was the assistant concertmaster of the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra, and I was a bit of a protege. I was about a year from auditioning for the orchestra when I just dropped the whole thing. And I don't want to do this. I don't want to spend every Thursday and Saturday night in a tuxedo. And the conductor of the orchestra, George Sell, one of the great conductors, but operated like the orchestra was a concentration camp. It was really an abusive situation. I didn't really want any part of that. And in any case, I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a painter, and there was no way that I was going to take up a musical career. After the Saturday classes and graduating from high school, I decided to go to the Art Institute to take up full-time study there. And I did that for 4 years, where I met Richard Anaskevich. Richard Anaskevich was a few years older than I was, but he became kind of a mentor to me. And he'd gone on from the Institute to Yale, and he had studied with Albers, and he came and we talked about what he had done there, and he persuaded me that I should go. I became an abstract painter little by little. I came to Yale as a figurative painter, but I became more and more persuaded that as we deconstructed painting, and Albers was never opposed to figurative painting, to figurative art, or even to illusionism. Much of his painting dealt with illusionism, with illusions that he referred to as schwindels. But even in figurative painting, that it would be painting first, figure second. I was not interested in telling a story. I was not interested in representation itself, and I was not even interested in the illusion of space. I was influenced by artists like Matisse, cutouts, and flatness, and I just little by little I did away with representation, but it was step by step. It was not one day I woke up an abstract painter. It was not like that. And again, as I say, I didn't study art in a vacuum. I spent plenty of time in New York City, and I was influenced by abstract painters. Albers was one of the original members of AAA. My relationship was that I knew artists that were in AAA. A couple of my students, in fact, Nancy Manter and Ed Shalala were my students. They were grad students at the University of Wisconsin, where I taught for 14 years. They were members, and I admired the organization as their passion for abstraction and their history, and how, as members, the likes of Joseph Albers, Piet Mondrian, uh, and so it was a historical organization, and I thought to be part of that, wow, I was very happy to become a member. I used to have a studio in Sunset Park, and you know, man proposes, God disposes, and there's a good example right here. The pandemic, and I stopped going to my studio because I didn't want to get on a subway, and I started working at home, and that was a huge change in every way, in every sense. And working on a small scale, and I invented a medium or improvised a medium in order to do that safely here. And it's what I call my glue works. I'm using uh, Elmer's glue with Child's poster paints and mixing them, and it kind of ascribes to a kind of a poverty of means aesthetic, which I like. Just an idea that appealed to me, that materials that have been overlooked, that are considered unworthy, uh, it's kind of in a way making the silk purse out of a sow's ear, kind of an attitude, and that's always appealed to me. My painting evolved gradually. One thing leads to another is what I would call my approach. Again, influenced more by art, by looking at art, imbibing art, much more so than the world of ordinary objects of nature. It simply is what I've been drawn to. And my players are shape, color, texture. Shape is what I've been the most intrigued with and demands center stage, accompanied by color, determination of palettes, various textures. I try to adopt strategies where they upset habits of mind, and so I invoke a certain level of randomness. I like to quote Picasso on that. I don't search, I find. I'm an explorer in that sense more than an inventor. I am an editor more than I am an author. I operate in a space of between clarity and mystery, ambiguity. Uh, the paintings that I make are open. They are subject to reading by an audience, which is fine. And I don't stubbornly insist that this is how a painting is. This is how a painting should look. I like painting. I prefer painting to any medium because of its otherness. I like to make paintings that are about painting and don't borrow so much from other sources, other media. Again, emphasizing the otherness of painting. Ideas from my head, feelings from my heart, and put them all together in a small space.